one of the other things that I think a lot of Americans and Europeans wonder, in terms of your government and your legal system, how do you see that? Do you think it's helping socially? Do you think it's entrepreneurship supportive? Like, what should somebody that doesn't know anything about India know about the government, about your legal system?
So there are definitely hurdles, especially if you're foreigner. There are limits on how much you can invest, how much you can own entities. Import taxes on certain industries. And our patent laws are more geared towards societal use than protecting entrepreneurial ideas. For example, especially our health laws are very geared towards, hey, if there's a solution out there, we're not going to pay an American company a large sum. We're just going to build a similar product and give them a royalty if they're okay with it. But it's hard to tell really because these laws are constantly changing. Like I said, the birth of startups and the popularization of startups. Everyone talks about startups. The main newspapers, the main economic newspapers and financial newspapers and websites talk about startups a lot.
I see.
So a company like Flipkart, which is an e-commerce site, which is a competitor to Amazon, got bought by Walmart for about $14-15 billion a couple of years ago. So it's really blowing up, right? Acquisitions like that make you think, hey, this is a viable way to go forward. So the government definitely sees it as an opportunity and definitely sees that, hey, there are problems here. But there are minor issues that get in the way because we still have problems with money laundering.
I see.
Angel investing suddenly becomes suspect, right? Because you're making up valuations and you're giving it to people.
Right.
How that's very easy to use for money laundering.
Yeah.
You'd say, hey, I believe in this company. Here's $1 million. So to put that in place, there are taxes in place, there are forms you're going to fill out, a lot of bureaucracy, which has, the right motive, but ends up being impediments to business.
Makes sense.
And then there are a lot of, social issues we have that we're going through with this government, which don't make business conducive.
Right.
Yeah. That's a mix for sure.
It's a good overview. And how do you feel, as a personal opinion, but like, how do you feel about the social environment? Like, how do you feel as socially, as a country? Like, how do you think you guys are doing? Do you guys think you guys are like getting better, or you're already good? For example, like, just to give you an example, I think in Spain, socially, there's a lot of fight and battle between Spanish people and Catalan, which they're trying to be independent, which is creating a lot of like pressure socially. And the economic crisis of 2008 was better, but that was really hard for the country. So like, that's the overview in Spain. How would that overview in India be?
So, see, the last year or so, and the pandemic has made it worse. The economy has been slowing down a little bit. From all the markets, I'm no economist, but the markets I've seen, the news reports I've seen, seems to be slowing down, which obviously means unemployment is going up a little bit, and that tends to always lead to social issues.
Yeah.
Now, we have traditional issues as well, and stuff like caste, which is just not great for people, let alone for business. But on the other hand, there's just so much opportunity.
Makes sense.
There's so much. I mean, one of the biggest companies in India, or big startups to be fair, not companies, is a company called Ola, which is essentially an Uber competitor.
I see.
And they've raised millions. They're a unicorn as well. They've raised billions of dollars from the same investors, the same SoftBank. Everyone is still involved. So it's not. There are a lot of ideas from the West which have been honed, and even in China, which have been honed in hyper-competitive markets, which can be brought to India. And if you're smart enough, you can tweak it for the Indian population. And you'll get like maybe a year where you get to play with that before people start ripping you off.
Right. Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
So there's definitely, socially, I don't know. I mean, I am not a fan of the government, so maybe I'm not the unbiased opinion you need.
I mean, I want your opinion personally, so whatever you think.
I'm not a fan of the government. I mean, socially, I don't know if we're going in the right direction.
Okay.
Economically, I think it's trending down, but I don't think it's in a place which is irretrievable. I think this is partially made a lot worse because of the pandemic.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I'm optimistic just because I'm an optimistic guy. Gotcha. I think that what's happening today, and I studied history in college, so I know that what's happening today doesn't necessarily dictate what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
A year from now, we could be in an entirely different situation.
Makes sense.
Right? I mean, that's, you study any history of any country in the last 100 years, and life isn't cyclical anymore. Stuff is
Right.
completely different. You
Yeah.
know, Germany in 1929 compared to Germany in 1935, very different places.
Of course.
Yeah, America 10 years ago, America today. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing is permanent. I mean, we've got the base that's free enough, and I think India, for all of our flaws, we are relatively free.
I love
We
that.
are still a democracy somehow, despite the fact that we've got 1 billion+ people. We are a democracy. Maybe not the best functioning democracy, maybe not the best functioning federally, but we are, which is kind of a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I
for
think
sure.
as long as we have that freedom, there's definitely, we're tilted towards progress rather versus anything else.
I think that's really interesting.